Right, it's time for tip of the day. Now, throughout the week, I'm going to be doing a few tips. There's a couple to do with the carp fishing, but then most of them are to do with the comfortability essentials of being on the bank for a long period of time. Minimum a week if you're coming to France. I like to do 10 days. So, first tip is so obvious, hence the skin cancer treatment. Being diagnosed with that, obviously sitting in the sun, ignoring the warning signs, factor 50 sun cream. As you can see now, it's spring. As I'm sitting in the shade, got the 50 factor cream on. Could have been worse, caught it at early stages, so it's uncomfortable to go through because you put a cream on and it blisters and takes all the skin off your face. So I've just had my dermatology appointment through on text as we speak this morning, and they'll reassess it and see whether I have to carry on with the treatment or that's going to clear itself now. So the main factor is sun cream. Second tip, very easy little tweak to when you're away. As you know, we're blessed with loads of rodents, and the French main rodent is a koi poo, a massive rat, hence hamster, whatever you want to call it. It swims in the water in front of your lines. It's learned to swim out in front of your rods when it goes swim to swim, and at night it comes out from the bushes, and it is as big, without exaggeration, some of them as big as a small dog. And what they do, they try to get in your bivvies to find pellets, anything like that, and then what they do, they gnaw at your buckets, loosen the lids, and then pull the buckets over and try and spill the contents out, and then all the family comes running in to feed on it. Very clever. So tackle this by making sure your lids are absolutely on tight. Maybe band them up, the lids on, bit of string around them, tied so the lids don't come off. So even then, if they do, because I know it's a bit of an upheaval getting all your buckets into a bivvy. I always set up big, so I've got loads of room in my gazebo and everything, and then this is where this little baby comes into play. The faithful bald clip. Now, what you do when you put your bivvy up or your Nash gazebo or anything like that, as you know, you've got your pegging points, and then it tucks under, either on Velcro but sometimes loose. Use your pegs all the way across. Pack of 20 of them, £6, and then peg your ground sheet to your bivvy or outer cover, making it absolutely sealed. You still get a little couple of tiny insects in, but it cuts out the big beetles, cuts out the big insects, but more importantly, it cuts out them koi poo and them rats. And cook tent, I've opted for the one with the zipping ground sheet. It zips around all the way. So all I have to do, even though you've got Velcro on the upstands in front of the door, so you can Velcro it at night, I use the clips. And this is my first week using them clips, so I will, at the end of the video, see how successful that has been. I'll do one more and then I'll get on with some more tomorrow. Using a wafter, what I've found is when you have either a bait screw or a swivel, and you put that wafter onto that bait screw or swivel and pull that bait floss tight, yeah, it wafts, but you've still got the restriction because the bait is tight to either the bait screw or the ring, whatever you want to use. When I was testing my wafters before this trip, I weren't happy with them, so what I've done, I used the ring small ring on the back of, say, the IQD, and then I flossed it, and then I left a couple of millimetres gap between the ring and the wafter, which allows double movement, because the ring will move, plus that gap in the bait floss. Absolutely, the difference is, say, from that tight on a bait screw to that, it's an edge. So I'll be doing that on this week as well. And let's see what else I've got. Right, this is quite a good one. When you send a bait boat out, obviously you take the bow alarm off and let the line run free off of the reel. Obviously, now and then you'll get a bird's nest tangle. Now we do this to stop twisting the line. If you put it on your clutch and you send your boat out, or you stand there with your finger on there, a bit of an inconvenience. So when I was on one of my trips down on a Tang de Foray, down south of Bourges, there was a French guy next to me, and I kept seeing him clip this thing on his rod. So when I went to speak to him, I said, "Hey mate, what are you doing? What's that for?" And he showed me, and this is what it was. So all you need is a peg, a paintbrush, and some good glue. And what you do is you put your peg on your rod directly over your reel, take the bow alarm off and measure the distance of the brush against the side of the spool. And then you peg it on. So if that's your spool, it brushes the line, and the line can't come off unless it's pulled by your boat. So all you've got to do is put it on the direction that your line's coming off, like that, and not that way. It's simple. You'll never get your line on a bird's nest off of your reel again, trust me. Since I've been using that brush, never had it. Simple, so simple, but effective. Quite surprised no one's manufactured one of these and put a little, you know, tag on it with a brand and sell it for 20 quid. You know, that costs not even a quid. Might make some if anyone wants one. But no, I can't really, because you need your reel and your rod to get that measurement. Right, what else we got? Yeah, another one for your comfortability. How many times have you set up your pegs all around your bivvy, tent, everything, and then when it comes to your front door? Now this is probably because everybody looks at a swim and faces the bivvy the right direction, the right length away from the water, and you always find them pegging points at the front of your door soft. And you can laugh about it because you know it's true. Every peg round the bivvy goes in solid. You peg the front door down, what you're zipping in and out, daytime, nighttime, and they just won't have it. You put 2 in, you put 3 in, it makes it worse. So, before I come, went on Amazon and got the extra long, heavy duty tent pegs. Funny enough, don't need them on this trip, but they was there because if I never had them, guaranteed my door would have been flapping, and that, for me, OCD is one of the worst things. Because you either move your bivvy slightly to find a strong pegging point, or put up with it. What else we got? I've actually in front of me got a list, but I've got my glasses on, so I can't really see it very well. Yeah, little one. Work out your bite times. This normally takes a few days. See when there's activity, and then arrange everything around it. Because we don't like to be sitting on the bank thinking my rod's going to go. If I leave them rods, they're going to go. Let's go and have a shower, freshen up, trip to the shop. So when you get them bite times, like I've been in here now, nearly a 2-day session, talking to people. I know realistically from 10 till 12, I'm not really, you can get a fish at any time, I'm not saying you can't. But for me, that's the time to go and have a shower, pop down the shop, whatever. So timing everything. Now also, what I found is, and this come to me this morning, rather than sleeping, get up early, watch the water, because once you've done your rods in the daytime, and you're all organised, you're all satisfied, you know, then you can have a little nap, have your kip, you know, go to bed late, get up early, and make up that kip in the day. It makes sense, absolutely makes sense. Like now, nothing's happening, nothing's going to properly happen. Maybe have a kip, which I'll probably do after this. Right, what else we got? Yeah, you might have heard of this one. Unless you, every time you use a rig tube, brand new, you don't get this problem so much. If you're buying a heavy tungsten rig tubing, the line seems to go through quite nice. But if you reuse it, it's a different story. Or some old rig tube, the cheaper versions. Someone's told me this about 5 years ago. It does work. Stretch your line, cut the end very, very sharp. Pull your rig tube, obviously the best you can. It will coil and bend at the bottom. And then wipe your nose and get all the wax off of your nose. Pull it up the line. Do that a few times, and that goes through the tube. Absolutely. That works. And then another little tip is, I don't know if many of you do this, but I certainly do. Soak it fake corn. Still soak it as a bait, like a bait, because it will penetrate and make the rubber smell of whatever you're soaking it in. Because if you buy, I think it's the Enterprise one, Scopex, you get a little bottle and the corner in that bottle. Otherwise they'll come pretty much on their own in a little bag. Soak them, it does make a difference. I'm starting to catch a lot of fish now off of fake corn. Last, say, year and a half, I'd say 50% of my fishing. And what I'll do on this session is I'll individually try my baits. Fake corn, one flavour wafter, another flavour wafter, maybe a different pop-up, but I will not mix the baits I'm putting in. So if I'm using fake corn, I'll just use corn and hemp or maize. If I'm using a krill wafter, I'll put in krill boilies, a few pellets, and then that'll tell me out of all them. Now it's not going to be set in stone, obviously, but it helps your mind and give you that confidence that if you have your first 3 fish all off of the first 3 system, you know that bait is favouring the others, especially if you're not fishing too far apart. So that's about it. That's my tips. So what I might do is I might split these up into sections and spread it out in my video, or do a separate blog with all these together. Oh yeah, last thing, I always bring it. Little mini whiteboard. So what I'll do is on that whiteboard, if you've seen my other videos, you'll see a catch report. So my first fish, I'll write down what day, what time, the weight obviously, a bit like a little fishing logbook, and what I caught it on, what rod it was on. That gives me my location and my bait. And then what it also does, it helps you refer to it. Take a picture of that at the end of your session, store it on your iCloud. If you're ever back to that lake, you can refer to it where you was fishing, if you're lucky enough to get on the same swim. but even so, it helps you through the week, because one, sometimes you can forget how many fish you've had, and two, you just lose track of what you're actually catching them on and what rig you're using. After 3 or 4 days, just look back on your whiteboard and it'll tell you on your trip what was most successful and during your trip what's most successful. Right, I'm just having a quick look round, see if I can see any more. If I do, I'll do another edition of them. But they're the main things I felt that I've tweaked and you know, to make my life on the bank more comfortable, my fishing a little bit better, more confidence and everything, you know, and maximising your enjoyment on your French fishing holiday.